Hello, and welcome back to part 2 of my homemade flavor series. In part 1 of this series, we focused on herb infusions, garlic honey infusions, and today we are going to dive deeper into more fruit-forward extracts and vinegars using both fresh and freeze-dried fruit. So whether you get your fruit at the farmer's market or your local grocery store, or you stash freeze-dried fruit in the pantry like I do, the process is going to be the same as you are making your own homemade flavors, extracts, and vinegars. So you may be wondering, why are we making these flavorings at home? Why not just buy them? Well, the main thing is the cost. They are very expensive at the grocery store, and you're usually just paying for packaging and marketing more than what's actually in the bottle. And then also you can make these on your own to bring the cost per ounce down and to make your own creative blends for like a fraction of the price. So it just makes sense to make something this quick and simple and easy at home and then explore all the different things you can do with it. Look at it this way, you're pretty much your own flavor designer, so you can experiment with different blends and taste and make your recipes and food unique. So let's take, for example, your store has vanilla extract, lemon extract, maybe almond extract. They offer a couple of different vinegars, but what if you wanted something like a strawberry basil vinegar? Or a mango vanilla extract, or just something totally different and unique, maybe flavors that you've never seen put together before. What about a freeze-dried raspberry with thyme? Like, you can make it up and go out and try different things as you go along and come up with some really unique flavors that you can't buy in a grocery store. I guess a freeze-dried raspberry with thyme is the same as raspberry with thyme, but I do notice that I like making my extracts more with freeze-dried foods and fruits. I just think it's easier, but there's nothing that beats fresh fruit. So if you have farmers markets around you and access to great produce, don't hesitate to use fresh fruit too. I just have found that the freeze-dried seems easier to work with. So whether you're going to make your homemade salad dressings, which I highly encourage, please do not buy salad dressing. It's very easy to make. Or if you're going to bake something from scratch, like your muffins, or you're adding a little twist to your marinades, or you're creating your own summer drinks in the blenders at home versus going to a big box store and buying their blends, or a restaurant and buying them, I am trying to encourage you and inspire you to make these things at home, not just to save money, but because you can have so much more fun customizing your blends. So just like in part 1, to make the vinegars, you add sugar and water and you cover it with a coffee filter. And to make the extracts, you just make sure your fruit is covered by the alcohol that you are using as the base. So from my video in part 1, when I was showing how to make the Forever vanilla extract, I used spiced rum as my base. But here with my fruit extracts, I use any kind of vodka. I buy them at Costco now, and that works really well for me. But you could also use spiced rum or other types of alcohol that are high enough in proof to preserve the fresh fruit inside of them. So let's talk about ways that you can use your homemade fruit extracts. One of them is baking. You can add a splash of this to cakes, cookies, muffins, or quick breads like your orange, lemon, vanilla, or berry extracts. You can use them to flavor your frostings, whipped creams, and glazes, or you can stir them into puddings and ice cream bases. To be honest, I usually use mine for different ice cream bases in the summer. Another way that you can use your homemade fruit extracts is making drinks. You can mix these extracts into teas and coffees and homemade lattes. It adds just that extra boost and bump of flavor that I think that you get from like the expensive coffee shops. If you like to make your own mocktails or cocktails at home, you could use your mint, citrus, and vanilla extracts. And if you're using them in cooking, you can stir it into oatmeal. That adds some great flavor and helps to make the oatmeal more flavorful. You can add it to pancake batter when you're making your sauces. There's so many different ways that you can use your homemade fruit extracts that it just helps to always have them on hand and know how to make them, so you don't need to buy them in the grocery store and overpay. I will also add that I will make a video for you if you want, but I highly encourage that you guys start making your own ketchup and barbecue sauce at home. It's so easy to make at home, I promise, and I can show you if you want me to. But if you add a little bit of vanilla into your homemade barbecue sauce, it changes the game, trust me. So don't buy ketchups and barbecue sauces. They're very easy to make. You can make them fresh, quick, pretty easy, and then you can store them as well if you want to make them ahead. But don't give the grocery store all that money for the ketchup and barbecue sauces that they're charging now when it's just as easy to make from home. Okay, now let's talk about how to use our fruit infused vinegars. And these are basically made by the fruits soaking in vinegar, like apple cider vinegar or white wine vinegar, or like me, I make my own vinegars out of the sugar and the water. Okay, so let's talk about the savory uses. You can use it as a base for your salad dressings and vinaigrettes. That's how I use most of mine. You can also use them in stir fries or when you're sauteing your veggies. They can add a brightness. If you add a little bit of your lemon vinegar to some roasted veggies, wow. You can drizzle it over meats and fish. You guys saw how I freeze my meats and fish pre-marinade, or I'm marinating them. But these are great to throw on kind of at the end of the baking process. It really boosts the flavor. And lastly, you can mix your vinegars with your oils and herbs when you are marinating your meats, either the day of or if you're storing them in the freezer. Another way that you can use your fruit-infused vinegars at home is by adding a teaspoon of a flavored vinegar to sparkling water, and it really elevates the drink. Also, you can use it in mixes and mocktails. You could try like a strawberry basil vinegar in a lemonade or a gin, or a lemonade and gin. These are really, 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 really good drinks that you can have at home that feels like you're buying a nice fancy drink at a restaurant. And the last way that you can use your fruit-infused vinegars is by pickling and preserving your veggies. I offered in the last video to show you guys how I pickle my vegetables to make them last longer, and also you can use those pickled veggies as a side dish or even as a snack. So if you want to see that video, let me know in the comments below. But you can use your fruit-infused vinegars for quick pickles that just add so much depth to your veggies, and you can also store them and create your own pickled peppers or pickled cucumbers or pickled red onions. You can also blend these with honey and mustard for like a homemade condiment or a glaze. So you just need a little bit of honey, a little bit of mustard, and some of these infused vinegars, and you can come up with some great sauces. Okay, and finally, one of my favorite ways to use my homemade extracts, as I told you earlier, is in ice cream. When you make ice cream at home, whether it's a custard base or a nurturing recipe or even a dairy-free version, which is what I like, flavor is everything. And that's where your homemade extracts come in. So instead of grabbing that really tiny, expensive, artificial vanilla extract from your store, you are going to have your own vanilla bean extract at home. The flavor is richer and smoother and has more depth, meaning it's more complex. Or you want to try something fruity, you could try a strawberry extract or a mango extract made from freeze-dried fruit or fresh fruit. And it really adds that fruit flavor without watering down your base. And because you made it yourself, you can customize it any way you want. Maybe a mint chocolate extract from a mint chip, or a coconut lime for a tropical twist. So you're not limited to like what's at the store. Your ice cream can taste exactly how you want it to. Homemade extracts don't just like flavor your ice cream, they make it feel gourmet. They kick it up a notch without having to pay that gourmet price tag. These homemade extracts and vinegars also make beautiful personal gifts. You can add a little handmade label and you're set for birthdays, holidays, or even just thoughtful thank you gifts. It really helps when you add a simple little recipe that these could be added to, or something that they can make at home, like a hot chocolate, and you're giving them a little bit of the extract that can enhance the flavor. You can get creative with it. But typically, if you give them this really unique kind of homemade extract and a little recipe, it's something that people remember. It's a unique gift. So in this video, you've seen me cut fresh apples to make apple vinegar and apple extract. You then saw me use some freeze-dried apples that I needed to cycle through my pantry to make more apple vinegar. And I use that as a lot of bases for my sauces, for my pork dishes, and some of my steak dishes. So I use a lot of that. I make a lot of it. If you haven't tried pork chops with apples or pork chops with like an apple-based sauce, please do not miss out on that taste. In my opinion, of course, I love that combination. I also like making some cabbage side dishes with apple, and I like making apple mashed potatoes. So every now and then I will use this apple extract to enhance those flavors. Here you see me making peppermint vinegar and peppermint extract. Peppermint is a great herb because of the cooling, fresh flavor. It goes a long way in desserts and making drinks and savory dishes like lamb, or even using it over a salad. It just adds like a bright, refreshing lift, but also it has soothing quality. So I usually use mine in tonics that I'm making, or I will put it in tea. It is also known for being a breath freshener. They say you can use a few drops on your tongue for like a little natural mouthwash, of course using regular mouthwash as well. And you can add it if you're making your own toothpaste. I don't do any of these things, but these are other ways that you can use your peppermint extracts and vinegars. But another way that you can use them is in your homemade ice cream, and if you're making like lemonade with a twist, or if you're making your own cold brews. You then saw me use some freeze-dried cranberries and then strawberries to make a vinegar and an extract. After that, I had some banana, and then at one point I even mixed some strawberry and banana. When I'm making my fruit smoothies, I usually add a little bit of the strawberry banana extract if I have it, to sweeten it up a little bit if I've added too many fresh greens. You know, you want to get a little bit more of that fruit flavor back in. I talked about my smoothie making process in my first trip to Costco video, so go check that out if you haven't. After the strawberries and banana extract, I made some cherry vinegar and extract, followed by some cinnamon extract. I did not make a cinnamon vinegar, and I use that most when I am making homemade fruit roll-ups. I then used freeze-dried cranberries, then strawberries. After I had some bananas, and I even mixed some strawberry and banana together. You saw this just a few minutes ago. And when I'm making my fruit smoothies, which I talked about in my first trip to Costco video, I will mix my fruit and my fresh greens and herbs in the moment. Sometimes if I feel like it has too much of an herby taste to it, I will add some strawberry banana extract to bring that sweetness back in. So if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. But that's one of the ways that I use these. After the strawberry and banana, I made some cherry vinegar and extract, followed by some cinnamon extract. And I use these most when I'm making homemade fruit roll-ups. Then you saw me use some star anise and some allspice. And I make a small quantity because I don't use these very much. So after the peppermint that you just saw, I made a coffee extract, which I use in my coffee drinks, which was great. And then I made a bay leaf extract and vinegar, which I use in my marinades. So now you are watching my process of the 6 months later. So I made my original video in June of 2024, and you are now watching my decanting and storing process in December, or was it November? It was November of 2024 on my Thanksgiving break from work. So I just let them sit, and I would check on them, shake them, stir them. I would check them about once a week, but this is now the decanting and storage process. So the vinegars and herbal infusions have had months at this point to sit and soak in all of that flavor. I love this process. It's so satisfying for me. So first things first, we are going to strain out the solids. That means removing all of the herbs, garlic, fruits, spices, whatever we used to infuse. Why? Because they've done their job, and leaving them in too long can make a bitter taste and it can spoil. So we want to get that out by using a fine mesh strainer. If you don't have a strainer, you can use a cheesecloth or a coffee filter, whatever works at the level of clarity that you want. So sometimes you may see me double strain because I'm trying to get my vinegars and extracts as clear as I can. Now, it's okay to have a little bit of cloudiness. It's okay if it looks and feels homemade, but in the end, you want it to have like a crystal clear finish when you're ready to put it away. So if you need to strain it twice, strain it twice. And you guys know that I care about having as much of a no waste kitchen as I can. So you don't have to throw out these strained fruits and herbs. You don't have to. If they still have a little bit of life left in them, sometimes they do, most of the time they don't. But if they do, you can toss these in to add flavor to a stir fry, or you can use them to marinate meat, but usually just same day marinade for the meat because you don't want to keep that for much longer, or you can just compost them. And once everything is strained, then we move on to the bottling or the canning of it. You guys see me doing that here. Just make sure you use clean, sterilized glass jars with tight fitting lids. I only put my vanilla in my dark glass because that's typically more expensive and I don't have as many of those. But your bottle can be as fancy as you want because these will last for 6 months, a year, even more if you store it properly in a cool, dark place and away from sunlight, and they intensify with taste and flavor over time. Guys, this is so easy. As you guys can see, it's the same kind of formula over and over again despite what you use. So get creative, use what you have, use local fruits and vegetables. See the different things that you can make or add to an already known recipe or dish that can elevate and enhance the flavor. None of these are necessary, they just add to your dishes. And the reason why we're trying to use them is to make our home cooking taste so good that you don't necessarily want to go out and overspend for a meal at a restaurant or get takeout or order in DoorDash, because you wouldn't be able to order something as good as you can make at home. That's the goal. And hopefully this will help you have a more positive relationship with your food, understanding how to build a meal and build a recipe into something that you like. And then once people know that you can cook well, like this is what happened to me, you then become the resident friend that is always cooking things for events, but people love your food, which is a wonderful feeling because if you don't make it, no one can make it just like you. So remember that when you're adding these extra enhancements to your meals, people remember it, you'll remember it, it feels like you made it with love and that you put in the extra effort. And look at how easy this project is. And it's great to do with kids if you want to try that, but it can make your time in the kitchen just a little bit more fun, a little bit more creative, a little more crafty. And of course, this content is for people that care about that and value that. My goal for these videos is to inspire you in the kitchen and encourage you to spend less in those big box grocery stores and make clean, healthy food at home. For the benefit of you, your health, your family's health, we need to really start cutting down on the chemicals and toxins that are being fed to us in processed foods and learn how to bring back the traditional cooking skills that kept our ancestors healthier. My first time doing this, I only bought 3 ball jars from a thrift store and I started with 3 flavorings. So don't look at me doing this project and think this is where I started. This is just me after years and years of stretching my skills and getting creative in the kitchen to where I started to know more about the flavors of food, trying different foods and thinking to myself, what else can I do with this? Or what are different ways that I can prepare this exact same food but make it feel like different dishes? So I show you this video to inspire you, to show you how easy it is, and to hope that you will start making some of your own extracts, vinegars, and flavorings at home, and start making some of your snacks from scratch at home, because I'm telling you, the little bit of time investment is worth it in the long run when it comes to time and money spent with health issues. If you can prevent them, we should try, and I think a lot of that starts with eating cleaner. You can see sometimes I overestimate how much vinegar or extract I will get out of it, so I will switch the jars because I do not want to have a big jar filled halfway with a vinegar. I will switch it and just rinse it out and reuse it for something else. So you're seeing me decant my coconut vinegar right now. Can I just say I started using that in my marinades for my fish. I was shocked at the flavoring. I absolutely loved it. So I will be doing this again in the future. I had some extra coconut shreds because I make my own almond, coconut, basically any kind of nut milk. And I was like, ooh, I need to use these shreds up. So I decided to try it and it worked out. These make great marinades for fish. Okay, so now you're watching me decant my ginger extract and ginger vinegar. Remember, I didn't even really peel it. I just broke it up as much as I could and cut it, sliced it, and then I just got to going. So ginger is great because it has a bold, spicy, warm taste. They usually serve it with sushi to kind of clear your palate. As a vinegar, it's tangy, it's aromatic, and it adds so much depth. So I use this basically in roasting vegetables. You can use it in your mocktails, cocktails. You can use it in your marinades, but I use it most in my smoothies and my teas. And now you see my apple cider vinegar being decanted. I will always keep a bottle of store-bought apple cider vinegar depending on what I need to use it for, but if I'm just using it for my own flavorings, I prefer my homemade. It's packed with benefits like digestive support, blood sugar balance, but I use it as a flavor booster and for its preservation power. It's affordable, unfiltered, and full of live cultures, and I just keep the mother to make more. It adds more probiotic benefits. And to wrap up today's video, I'm showing you how I buy pistachios. I crack them myself. I make my own pistachio extract, and I will use this extract to make my absolute favorite pistachio honey ice cream. So I just want to show you guys, no matter what you like, no matter what you're buying in the store, I promise you, you can make it at home. It's not as challenging as you may think, and it will taste so good, and you can make it for a fraction of the cost. So this is just me opening up the pistachios and making the extract so that I could get ready for my summer ice cream. Thank you so much for watching my video today. I hope you got value from it. If you did, if you could hit that like button, that would be awesome. And if you're enjoying my content and you find it inspiring, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much, and I'll see you at the next upload.